Giving all praises to the Most High, whose true name in Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in Hebrew is the Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles by the Holy Spirit, who taught us his truth. Honors to the brothers, making their bodies living the sacrifice to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, which would be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, who make up the lost 12 tribes of the children of Israel, according to scripture and according to prophecy. But the hopeful elect being 1/3 of these people who are going to return back to the Most High and receive salvation, while the 2/3 of our people who don't turn back to the Most High be destroyed in judgment. We back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. This lesson is going to be a continuation of lessons that I did last week. It's going to be titled, The Mark of the Beast is Not Sin. This is part 3. The Mark of the Beast is Not Sin. And it's also going to be titled, 666 equals stigma equals to stick or to prick. So again, 666, the root word of that in the Greek would be stigma, and stigma in the Greek means to stick or to prick. But we're going to get into it. We're going to look up a lot of words, a lot of definitions, just to show that the mark of the beast is something physical. It's something that's going to be given to you. The mark of the beast is not sin. It's not something that's in the mind. It's not sin. The mark of the beast is physical, something that will be implanted into the body. But we're going to show this video first real quick, which I should have showed it on the other ones, but I forgot I had it. And the title of the music video is Watch Out for 666, which we're going to look up the meaning of this word 666 in the lesson. So let's let this roll. Watch out for 666. Watch out for 666. In a vision of the future, I saw in a vivid dream. What's the future prophecy? That the hour is coming when men will become machines. A new one world order will rise and then demand that all the world's people receive their scientific brand. I saw a tiny free program, computer chips so thin. Hold on. He talked about a computer chip, a microchip. And that's what we teach, that the mark of the beast is the RFID microchip. Now, why is the song called Watch Out for 666 and they talking about microchips? And this is back from the 90s. This ain't no coincidence. Implanted in men's foreheads, underneath their skin, linking all its errors to the system's central brain. The master computer that over them will reign. Watch out for 666 and their computer chip. That is designed to strip you on your self-control. All right, so watch out for 666. And Esau, going way back to the 90s, is pretty much telling you that it's the microchip. And again, the mark of the beast would be the RFID microchip that goes in the right hand and also in the forehead region, which would be the different Neuralink brain chips and everything similar. So we're going to go straight to Revelation 13 and 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. It says the number of the beast is the number of a man. So the beast is a man. And that man will be Esau Edom, the white man. And his number is 600, score and 6. So it's telling you that the beast is a man. So the mark of the beast would be the mark of a man, the mark of the white man. So yeah, the mark of the beast is something physical that would be invented by men here on the earth, which would be Esau Edom, the so-called white man. Now we gonna start looking into these words because it's about to get real deep. We gonna come to the Greek when we look at this word 666. So 600, score 6, G 5516. Let's click it and let's hear the word.
Strong's G 5516. Chi, Xi, Stigma. Chi, Xi, Stigma.
So this word is a compound word, meaning it's a makeup of of 2 or 3 different words. And we're gonna go to the root word stigma. But just let me come down here and see if anything sticks out. Not much information on the compound word, but again, Kishi stigma. It says G4742 as a cross, meaning a cross reference, meaning we can get understanding to this compound word by going to this root word. So let's click it, and it's going to be stigma. Let's play it.
Strong's G 4742. Stigma. Stigma.
Okay, so stigma. This is the etymology, the breakdown in the history of the word stigma. It says from a primary stizo, which means to stick or to prick. But again, stigma comes from primarily stizo. Let's look up this word stizo on Google. Stizo definition. The root word for the Greek noun is probably the verb stizo or mark. Although the word in Latin and Greek seems less versatile than its English cousin, stick, both words can refer to poking or puncturing, especially branding. So stizo, when you look it up on Google, tells you that stizo in the Latin and in the Greek, it means to stick, it means to poke, it means to puncture. Now let's look up each of these 3 words. Let's look up this word. Let's look up this word poke. Excuse me. So poke, it says jab. It says jab someone or something, or especially with one's finger. So like you could poke somebody with your finger, but that's not what we're looking for. Here we go. Make a hole in something by jabbing at it. So stizo means to poke or to make a hole in something. And what does that look like in reference to the mark of the beast? This is 666, which is a compound word, which the root word of 666 is stigma. Stigma comes from the word stizo, which means to stick or to prick or to poke. Make a hole in something by jabbing at it. And the hole is going to be made what? In your right hand. So we're going to look at another word. It says stizo can refer to poking or puncturing. Let's look up this word puncture. So even 666 even that word, it's something physical. It's not sin. So puncture, it says make a small hole in something, such as the skin, caused by a sharp object. And what does this look like in reference to the mark of the beast? A small hole in something, such as the skin, caused by a sharp object. That's the needle. We're just gonna implant the RFID microchip into the right hand. It says make a puncture in something. So yeah, puncture go or stizo, which in English can be translated to the word puncture. It means to make a hole in the skin with a sharp object. And we looked up the word poke. It means to poke a hole in something, to make a hole in something with a sharp object. And branding. Let's look up this word branding. So it says the action of marking with a branding iron, regulations concerning the branding movement and sale of cattle. So people will brand their cattle. They will put a hot piece of iron on them that'll pretty much um, help identify the cattle, like who the cattle belongs to, its address. It's kind of like a stamp. Instead of being stamped with ink, you stamped with hot iron, which will burn the flesh, which it will leave a mark on you. So Esau, with the mark of the beast, that's his way of branding you. He's not going to brand you with stink. He's not going to brand you with hot iron. He's going to brand you with the mark of the beast, which is the different Neuralink brain chips and the RFID microchip. And branding is a way to identify cattle. And the RFID microchip in the hand, that's going to be Esau's way of branding you with his technology. Because with this, you'll be identifiable in this new digital system. That's why one of the things over here it got, it's an ID. This is going to be your digital ID. So let's review. When we look up the word 666, it's a compound word. We went to the root word as a cross reference. Stigma. Stigma comes from the word stizo. We looked up stizo. Stizo means to stick. It means to poke or to puncture as a form of branding. Branding something is like labeling something. So Esau is going to label you with the RFID microchip, which he has to poke the skin. He has to puncture the flesh to insert the RFID microchip into you. Now we're going to keep going. Now we're going to look up this word stick over here to the right. Now we're going to look up this word stick. I think I have to go down a little bit. Okay, stick definition 2. I think this is what I'm looking for. Stick something in, into, or through. Push a sharp or pointed object into or through something. This is for the word stigma, which goes into the word for 666. Now, stick means something. It means to stick something in, to stick into something, or to stick through something, to push a sharp or pointed object, which would be the needle, into the skin. It says to stab or pierce with a sharp object. And what's that? That's your skin being pierced. It says to insert, thrust, or push. Because when your skin is punctured or pierced, it's going to insert the RFID microchip. So the word 666, when you go to the root word stigma, is pretty much the act of piercing, poking, sticking, stabbing, piercing. Now let's look up the word prick. And again, the mark of the beast is physical. It's not sin. It's something that's easily identifiable, something that will link you to this digital system that Esau is building, something that the people can be held accountable for, and something that's going to come with a penalty. This word prick. Let's bring the picture back up. Make a small hole in something with a sharp point to pierce slightly. That's the spirit. Because the microchip ain't got to go deep into the body. It's going to be slightly, it's going to be pierced. Your flesh is going to be pierced slightly. That's why when we look at this picture right here, you see that he got the mark of the beast already. It's slightly under the skin. And then even when you go to the doctor, let's say you're going to get a VAX, for whatever. What they say, you're going to feel a slight prick. Anytime you go to the doctor, even if you draw blood or whatever they're going to do, they're going to say you may feel a slight prick. And again, this word prick goes into the word 666, because 666, which is a compound word, a root word is stigma. Stigma comes from the word stizo, which means to stick or to prick. So 666 pretty much means you being poked, your skin being pierced by Esau Edom, the white man, the beast. It says, for prick, feel a sensation as through a sharp point or sticking into one. So they say you're going to feel a slight prick. That's the sensation of being poked with a sharp object. So more on this word prick. It says, the act of piercing something with a fine, sharp point. What's going to be pierced with that fine, sharp point? Your right hand. A small hole or mark made by piercing something with a fine, sharp point. So you're going to be pricked so you can receive the mark of the beast, which is the RFID microchip, which this is that mark. So 666, the root word is stigma. Stigma means to stick or to prick, to pierce or to puncture. The result of you being pierced or punctured is going to leave a mark. What's that mark? It's going to be the microchip that can be seen underneath the skin. Okay, so we gonna continue moving on. I'm gonna backtrack real quick. So look, just to show this again, to make it as simple as possible. 600 3 score 6, 666, G5516. We click that. You see it's a compound word.
Strong's G 5516. Chi, Xi, Stigma.
Which is a compound word. But when it says G4742 as the cross, meaning the cross reference. So when we go there, that word stigma is still there.
Strong's G 4742. Stigma. Stigma.
And stigma comes from stizo, which means to prick or to stick. This is straightforward, plain and simple. And then when we look up the word stizo, it said stizo in Latin and in Greek refers to poking or puncturing, especially branding. Poking and puncturing, that's plain and simple. That's something being pierced by a sharp point. Branding goes into labeling something. So we're going to come back to this word stigma, which means to stick or to prick. We're going to come to the Strong's info. Stigma from stizo, which means to stick or to prick. We looked up both of those words. It says a mark incised or punched. A mark incised. That mark represents you being branded. Not with hot iron, but branded with a microchip. But again, a mark incised. Let's look up this word incised. Okay, here we go. To mark with a cut or series of cuts. And what's that cut? You being pierced or punctured or pricked with a sharp pointed object. So when it says in the Strong's definition, a mark incised, the RFID microchip, which is the mark, is going to be cut into the skin. It's going to be pierced into the skin. And look here, cut a mark into a surface. And what's that surface? The surface of the skin. And then that's the spirit. Freestyling. This ain't rehearsed. It says cut, skin or flesh with a surgical instrument. This is that surgical instrument. Even Elon Musk Neuralink brain chip. That's like a form of brain surgery. There's going to be surgical instruments that cut into the flesh, that cut into the skull, that places the brain chip. That's the same case with this. Surgical or medical instruments are going to be used to cut into the surface of the skin so that you could be marked. And this is that mark right here. This is the mark you're going to be left with. This is you being branded like cattle. And what the Lord say? My people are lost sheep. So a mark incised or punched. Let's take it there. So a mark incised means to cut. What's going to be cut? The surface of the skin with a surgical instrument. That's how you're going to be marked. That's why it says a mark incised. You're going to be marked by being cut, by being pierced, sticked, pricked, punctured. Now let's look up this word punched. I'm just curious. And again, Hey, this may seem redundant, but this is a prophecy you don't want to get wrong. If you think Mark of the Beast is sleeping with the white woman, Mark of the Beast is sin, you wrong. We showing it. This is not a I think, I feel like. No, this is straightforward. And then we started it off with the video, the music video, Watch Out for 666. And in there, they talking about microchips. For those of you who believe the mark of the beast is sin or sleeping with a white woman, you may want to reconsider your belief on what the mark is, because the result is the lake of fire. There's not nothing to play with, nothing, to take a risk. You don't want to chance it. So punch. Let's see. I don't think this word punch, I don't think nothing's going to come up here. But what I do think about, hold on. Okay, here we go. Definition 2. So again, it says a mark incised. Incised means to cut. So you're going to be marked by being cut. A mark incised or a mark punched. Punch for definition 2, which definition 1 was you being hit by somebody's fist. Now let's look up definition 2. A device or machine for making holes in materials. Except there's going to be a surgical instrument that make a hole in you. And let's show that. This is the picture. So if you think of like a hole puncher, it punch holes into sheets of paper. Well, this surgical instrument is going to punch a hole into your skin. Again, a device or machine for making holes in materials. What's material? Your flesh. As a verb, this word punch, it says to pierce a hole. To pierce a hole in, with, or as through with a punch. So piercing a hole into something or through something. So pierce a hole. So even the word punched can be used when you piercing or making a hole into something. So a mark incised, which means a mark cut, or a mark punched. You're going to be marked by Esau punching a hole into your flesh. And it says what? For recognition of ownership. What does recognition mean? To be identifiable. So you're going to be marked. You're going to be marked by your flesh being cut. Hold on. So a mark incised, a mark cut, that and being cut into the flesh for recognition of ownership. So you're going to be marked so that you could be identified in this digital system, which is why when you look here, the RFID microchip, it's going to be your digital wallet and your digital ID. It's going to be no more putting the ID out of your wallet, ID out of your purse. Nope, you're going to swipe your hand and your chip is going to be read. And this is the system, a simplified version of it. 5G supercomputer, blockchain network on how data is going to be stored and protected. Everybody's data, medical records, criminal history, credit reports, addresses, anything. And then here, you got the 5G internet, the 5G towers, phones, cars, all got microchips in them these days. But the people, even you people, gonna be plugged up to the grid. And what it say? A mark incise, a mark that's cut, being cut into the flesh for recognition of ownership, so that you could be recognized or plugged into the system. And it says figuratively scar of service, because you're going to receive a small flesh wound. You're going to receive, you're going to be scarred a little bit. And it says of service. So that what? What's that service? That's your employment. So you can work in this new digital system, so that you can be of service in this new digital cashless system. And let's show that real quick. So we gonna hit Revelation 13 and 17, but we gonna show it in the NLT since it's right there. We're gonna be redundant. We're gonna get Revelation 13 and 16. He required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, all people, to be given a mark. We know that mark is what? A mark incised, a mark that's cut into the flesh, pierced, punctured, to stick, or to prick on the right hand or on the forehead. Let's continue. And that no one could buy or sell anything without that mark. You're not going to be able to buy or sell anything without this RFID microchip. Meaning what? You're not going to be able to spend money, or you're not going to be able to receive money. Receive money mainly goes into employment. And employment, another word would be, your service. And what am I looking for? That's why it says figuratively a scar of service. So you're going to have to be pierced to continue working in this society. You're going to have to be marked by being cut, your skin being pierced or punctured, so that you can work in this digital cashless system. So yeah, you're going to have to be scarred to be marked to work in this system. And again, that's why Revelation 13 and 17 said that no one could buy or sell anything. So you won't be able to function in this system till you receive this mark. And then recognition of ownership, meaning you belong to the system. You belong to the beast, who is Esau, Edom, the white man. And the Lord is not going to have any dealings with you, which we're going to show that at the end of the lesson. Those who get the mark, purposely, intentionally, or by mistake, or in their ignorance, or they was tricked, deceived, they didn't know better, they was confused. It's a penalty for them. Now let's go to the outline biblical usage for this word stigma. And stigma is the root word for 666 in the Greek, which means to stick or to prick, a mark incised or cut into the flesh. Now check this out. This gonna tie it all together. Just let me do a couple things real quick. I'm gonna zoom in on it. Nope. I'm gonna read this and just keep this picture in mind up at the top. So check this out. A mark pricked. A mark pricked upon the body. Let's get this word pricked again. What do the doctor tell you? You're going to feel a small prick. Make a small hole in something with a sharp point. The act of piercing something with a fine, sharp point. A small hole or mark made by piercing something, piercing your skin with a fine, sharp point. So we got the word prick. This is you being pricked. We're going to read this to the left. A mark pricked. A hole that's made upon the body. That's what we see up here to the top right. It says ancient Oriental usage. Slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies. So to be pricked means to be cut. So even in the ancient world, different slaves and soldiers, they were marked or branded by being pricked or cut to receive their master's name, just like cattle, to indicate what master or general they belong to. So if you receive this mark upon your body, if you be pricked to receive this microchip, that's going to indicate that you belong to Esau, Edom, the white man. The Lord not going to have no dealings with you. There were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way, and that stamp being what? Branded with hot iron, or stamped in the sense of being pricked or having your flesh cut. So some people stamp themselves in this way with the token of their gods. So you having your flesh pricked or cut to receive any kind of marking, any kind of microchip by Esau indicates that you belong to Esau. And it's idol worship. Because now you're being stamped with Esau's token. His microchip. And the token is this something physical. And that would be the RFID microchip. Read this again. A mark pricked or branded upon the body. In the ancient world, ancient Oriental usage, slaves or soldiers bore the name or stamp of their master. Who's the slaves today? You 12 tribes and all you other people. You're going to be slaves to this digital system. That's why that cracker, what's his name? Cotton Swab. Yeah, Cotton Swab. He said, you going to own nothing and be happy. We already slaves now. But yeah, everybody's going to be a slave in this new digital system. So slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp, in other words, a mark of their master. So if you carry Esau's mark, you're pretty much shown that Esau is your master. Slaves bore the name of their master or commander, branded or pricked, meaning to cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. So you get this? This is going to show that you belong to Esau. And pretty much you're making Esau your God. So again, this mark of the beast is not sin. It didn't say that slaves marked themselves by sinning. It didn't say slaves were marked by sleeping with white women. Well, if that's the case, what about the Chinese woman? What about the Arab woman, the East Indian woman, the Japanese woman, the Korean woman, an Egyptian, Ethiopian woman? What about them? Is sleeping with them the mark of the beast too? Not to mention, you almost can't even identify people based upon appearance due to mixing in the mingling of the different nations. A lot of people messing with a so-called black woman and she really an Edomite based on her father's lineage. That's stupid. So the mark of the beast is physical. It's the microchip. We looked at this word 666 inside and out. 666 pretty much means to be stuck or to be pricked, to be poked, to be punctured, to be marked by receiving a cut. It gets no simpler than that. Now, we're going to get Revelation 14 and 9 to show the penalty. Then we're going to leave it off there. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, "Have any man worshiped the beast, the white man's system, the white man's way of living, the white man's philosophies, the white man's way of thinking, and his image?" Image goes into imagination. Anything Esau's imagines, he creates. So what's the beast? The white man. What's the image? This system. Everything that began as an imagination, but he brought it to life. And receive his mark. You being marked by Esau the white man, in his forehead or in his right hand. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, meaning what? No mercy. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So there's going to be a public execution, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. This is the lake of fire. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast, who is the white man, his image, his imaginations, that he brought to life, such as the mark of the beast, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. So even worshiping his image, that's believing in Christianity. Because Christianity was an idea, before Esau went deceiving the nations with it. So yeah, you're going to take your part in the lake of fire if you get this RFID market chip. And again, the title of the lesson, The Mark of the Beast is Not Sin, Part 3. 666 means stigma. Stigma means to prick or to stick, something physical.
Watch out for 666. Watch out for...
I'm going to do something real quick.
In a vision of the future, I saw in a vivid dream that the hour is soon coming when men will become machines. A new one world order will rise and then demand that all the world's people receive their scientific brand. I saw a tiny pre-program computer chip so thin, implanted in men's foreheads underneath their skin, linking all its errors to the system's central brain. The master computer that over them will reign. Watch out for 666 and their computer chip that is designed to strip you on your self-control.
All right, till next time. Shalom.